Hello and welcome into another video on Pat Talks Hockey. Set it up a little differently because to get my jerseys in the background I have to rearrange my whole entire desk. Didn't really have time to do that. But on this video I want to talk to you guys about the top 10 prospects entering the draft this year. I feel like every year I pay not enough attention to who's going to be in the draft, who are the elite players. I usually know the first 2 or 3 guys, but this year I want to be a little more knowledgeable going into the draft. So almost in like a research project way, I went through the top 10 players, and this is based on my NHL Draft.com, took their top 10, and now I'm going to be going over what I've looked up. I watched highlights of all of them. I watched some film analysis of some of who had it, because it's still fairly early in the scouting process, so not all these guys have analysis that's up on platforms that I can look at, so I had to make my own judgments on these players. So do bear in mind I'm not a pro scout by any means. It's just the eye test and what I see and what I noticed and what I've read. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, but let's get into it. The number 10 prospect entering this draft is Dylan Holloway. Now, Dylan Holloway is the only player who is in college hockey in his first year draft eligible. He plays for the University of Wisconsin, which is where players like Cole Caulfield play, Turcotte plays, and a few other notable picks, actually. Wisconsin produces a decent amount of offensive talent, which is pretty good considering Holloway is there. They have no goaltending, though, so that's why they struggle of being good at hockey. They're not the best team, to be honest. I've seen them play. They score a lot, but they also let up a lot. Now, Holloway is a 6-foot tall, 192-pound center. He's from Calgary, Alberta. He's a big 6'2". This kid plays physical. Now, in the NCAA, as you can see, he only has 8 points in 25 games, which is not that great. But if you know anything, freshmen typically struggle their first year before they really break out and find their own game, because college hockey is very physical. It's a different world compared to juniors. So this dude's playing at a very, very physical, high level of hockey, which really tests how much of a game you have in the physical department. And Dylan Holloway so far has looked like he holds up well in there. Now, he hasn't become a good point producer yet, but there's a lot of offensive talent there. He's not the main guy. I think he's playing third line there, or second line. He's not on the first he doesn't have a featured role in the first power play unit. He plays in front of the net, so there's no real set plays for him. He's just kind of there to tip pucks and be the force of physicality that he is in front of the net. He's got very good skating. That's the number one thing you read when you look up Dylan Holloway, is his ability to skate and the ability to use his body to protect the puck and create opportunities. Now, Dylan Holloway, obviously, you'd like to see him get more point production. That's what you're going to be watching, because he'll probably spend another year or two at college before making the jump to the AHL or maybe even the NHL if things go really well for him. Now, on to the next prospect. This is the number 9 prospect, and one of my least favorite, actually, in the top 10. This is Antoine Lundell. Now, he is a 6'1", high floor center, in my opinion. He's 183 pounds. He plays in the first league in Finland. He plays for the Finnish junior team, too. And he's kind of a Finnish product, no pun intended, when you look up all the things you look about him. When you watch his highlights, he plays a very responsible game, very not the flashiest games. The first thing you see about him is he's great at positioning. He's always in the right spot, makes the right decision. He does not have the best skating, though, which is a big knock on him, which is why I think he should fall a little bit outside of the top 10 when the draft rolls around. I think his ceiling is second line center, to be honest. I don't really see the first line potential here. I don't think you want him on your first line. I don't think you're a winning team if he's on your first line. The pro comparisons I saw, which I think looked pretty accurate based on what I read, Jordan Staal and Mikko Koivu, which solid NHL players. Would love to have someone like this on your team. Not sure you take him in the top 10. I think you go someone with a much higher upside, a little more flash, a little more potential to put up like 70 points, because I don't think this guy has it in him to put up that many points. He could prove me wrong, but based on what I've read and what I've seen, I don't think he has it in him. He's a very strong player. He's built. He's physically mature, and he can probably jump into the NHL as soon as next year if needed to, because he already plays in the men's league. Moving on to the next prospect, this is Alexander Holt. Alexander Holt is one of the players I have the least to say about because there's really not a lot about him. There's not a lot to watch on him, basically. Now, he's a 6 foot tall, 183 pound right winger from Drysdale in the SHL, which is the Swedish Hockey League. Very good league. He plays with men, has 12 points in 27 games, and he's very much a sniper. Now, everything you read says everything's pretty average, and then you got an insanely wicked shot, like best in the draft possibly. And if you watch the few highlights, you'll see he picks corner. He has a lot of power on the shot, quick release, and that's why he's going in the top 10, is because he will probably be able to score a lot of goals in the NHL if things go right for him. So I get the pick. Right now he's lined up to go number 8 to the Canadiens, which can't go wrong adding scoring at all, and Alexander Holtz is a good prospect for that. Moving on to one of the more interesting ones, this is Colt Perfetti. 5'10", 185 pounds, center, left wing. This kid's all skill. He is his highlights are fun to watch. His vision's insane. Stick handling is very impressive. He has some of the dirtiest angles you will see in a highlight pack in the juniors this year. He lacks physicality, and his two-way needs work, but he's going this high for that offensive upside. When you're drafting this high, you want a guy who can impact the game and take over. Cole Perfetti has that potential. The reason he's not going higher is because he doesn't have the two-way game yet. Will he learn? You don't know. I read a thing saying that his work ethic is a little questionable. That can definitely change depending on where you play. A big thing in work ethic can sometimes be the coaching or the belief in the team. It's not necessarily always on the individual himself, but it could be on the situation. Now, he's got an accurate shot, but you're really looking for the vision, the playmaking, but he can chip in a few goals here and there. And I think this is a very good pick, and he's solidly locked into the top 10 for me based on what I've seen. I would like my team to get him, and I'm sure whatever team gets him will be looking at the upside in this pick and definitely not the downside. Moving on to the top 6 now, and arguably my favorite player in the draft is Marco Rossi. Now, this player is dynamic. He's smaller, which I root for the smaller guys because I'm not the biggest myself. He also reminds me a lot of Brad Marchand. Size is similar. He's kind of a pest. He's got a lot of skill. Responsible, good two-way player, and if this kid is 6 foot on the dot, he's going top 3, no question, I think. Maybe not with Drysdale's pretty good. I'm not sure I'd bump him out, but he's probably going above Lucas Raymond and Tim Stute if he is higher than that, if he's taller than this and bigger, because GMs will question height, sadly, even though this guy is going to be absurd in the AHL. I would bank on this kid being a sure thing. Amazing playmaker, responsible with the puck, very selective in his passing. He will not turn over the puck easy. He doesn't just give it away. Two-way game looks good, looks legit, and I think this is, if you want to draft someone like Brad Marchand who can bring the skill, the competitiveness, the two-way play, Marco Rossi is the guy, and I think the Senators would be very grateful to get him at number 6. Moving on to number 5, another very, very good prospect. The NHL Draft scouts have gotten so much better to the point where all of these guys who I've been talking about are probably going to be good NHL players. Lucas Raymond, no exception. Right wing from Sweden, from Frölunda. He plays in the SHL now, 8 points in 23 games. That's pretty good considering it's a men's league. Great hands, great speed, great playmaker. From the wing, he's a dog on the forecheck. He's probably going to put up a decent amount of points when he hits his stride in the AHL. And I don't really have a good pro comparison to him, but playmaker, the size, it makes me think of Mitch Marner a little. I don't think he's as good of a skater, and I don't think he's as flashy as Marner, but definitely someone who can probably chip in 50 assists when he's in his prime a year. And the scoring, you might be questioning how much he can score, but I think the playmaking will get him through. I wouldn't take him over Marco Rossi in my opinion, and I think he should probably go around the 5 to 6 spot. I really like the prospect. I think he's going to be a very good playmaker in the NHL. Moving on to one of my other favorite prospects in the draft, Tim Stute. Now, this kid is going off in the German league. If you watch his highlights, a lot of things jump off the page. He's a dynamic skater. He has very, very good hands. He's high skill. He really does it all, too. He's an engine, too. This kid's work ethic is up there. I could really see him being like, you never know. He could be the best player in this draft looking back on it. He's a center. He's got really everything you want. 5'11", decent size, good enough size. Or, 5'11", 165. He'll grow, too. I think he's got a lot of growth left. He can be a power play quarterback, and he has been at times for Mannheim this year. That would be big for Mannheim because they had Moritz Seider go top 10 last year, or top 5. He might have won 5 or 6. I don't remember specifically where he went. But they're producing some good players. Tim Stutzel is destroying the league this year. I think a good comparison would be Kuznetsov for him, but I think his ceiling is higher than Kuznetsov, and that's high praise from me. Moving on to the third pick, which is projected to be Jamie Drysdale to New Jersey. Makes sense. They've drafted a lot of forwards. This is the only defenseman. Looking at the My Draft site, he's the only defenseman until you get to Jake Sanderson at 15, who is a North Dakota commit. He'll be playing for North Dakota next year, which means North Dakota is just getting more skilled. That's a topic for another day, though. Right-handed defenseman, 5'11". This kid is the complete package, and he brings a lot of offensive threat along with him, being a shutdown defenseman in the OHL. And it's really hard to compare defensemen because a lot of the good defensemen do a lot of the same things at a high level, and a few things here and there that are different. 5'11", 165. He'll probably put on some more weight. Size is a little bit concerning, but not really with the modern day NHL. I think this kid's I don't think he could be a bust, really. I think he's as sure of a sure thing as you will find in a defenseman in this draft, which is why he's going as high as he will. Now, 39 points in 38 games, really impressive. Great skater, power play quarterback, shutdown defenseman, as I said, from Ontario, Canada. Can't miss prospect in Jamie Drysdale. Moving on to the top 2, which is what everyone will talk about for the most part. This is Quinton Byfield, number 2. And Quinton Byfield is I think he's the most intriguing prospect in this draft. You do not find guys who are this big with this much skill at the center position every year. And I honestly could see a GM thinking, maybe I'll take him number 1. I don't think he goes number 1 because I think Alexis Lafreniere is the best player in the draft. But I think Quinton Byfield other years could go number 1 just because of the size package, the skill package. You don't find it that often. 6'4", 214 pounds at 18 years old. This dude's a man already. I think ceiling this dude's like Malkin. I think he honestly has a chance to be like Evgeny Malkin. And that is that if you tell any prospect they will be as good as Evgeny Malkin, they will probably be pretty happy with that. Big man, he's fast for his size, good skater, great shot in my opinion, strong shot too, as you can imagine with how big he is. 31 goals and 42 assists in 39 games, really ridiculous numbers. That seems to happen in juniors, though, when you have these insanely good kids who should probably be playing minor league hockey at the minimum, like at a pro league. Which is why you gotta think like someone like Austin Matthews, who played in a pro league when he was younger, probably helped him before he got drafted. Quinton Byfield and Alexis Lafreniere have no business playing in the juniors. They're too good. They're not really getting better in a sense. They're more just like murdering the competition at that level. So he's going to be in the NHL next year, Quinton Byfield, no question, with his size and skill. I'm very intrigued to see how Quinton Byfield does, and I really hope that he turns into a player like Evgeny Malkin. Moving on to number 1, the person everyone knows, Alexis Lafreniere. And if you don't know him, you should learn about him. This kid is an insane playmaker, insanely high hockey IQ, very good work ethic, very good two-way game. He's really the complete package. Quinton Byfield, for example, has more to work on. He's more, you got all the raw materials and you got to like progress and more. Alexis Lafreniere comes as a complete package. He's one of the older players in the draft, so, you know, obviously a little bit more mature, but he's going to torch the NHL. This kid's going to be point per game, I would think, easily. You rarely see these first overall picks be bust, and you rarely see them be anything less than superstars. I expect no less. Now, you guys have to look up highlights of Quinton Byfield, Lafreniere, and those two you definitely have to look at because you got to be knowledgeable on them. Lafreniere jumps off the film because he just does so many things exceptionally well. Hockey IQ is the biggest thing, just knowing where to put the puck. He's a gifted playmaker. That's all you can say. Some people just see things other players can't see. Alexis Lafreniere is one of them. Pro comparison, he's an interesting comparison because not many wingers come this ready. I was thinking playmaking, I was thinking Panarin, but I think he plays a lot more complete of a game than Panarin. Brad Marchand doesn't have the skill level, in my opinion. He's really hard to compare to anyone. I kind of want to compare him to Sidney Crosby because of how well-rounded he is. Doesn't play center, though, so this is a really tough one. Elite playmaker who's exceptionally well two-way. He should go number 1 in the draft, in my opinion. No question. And then Byfield should go 2. And then after that, you get into the question of who's picking 3rd. Do you need a D-man? Do you want Tim Stützle? Maybe you like Marco Rossi, even though he's undersized. There's a lot of questions after the top 2, but I think the top 2 are pretty set just because of what they bring to the table. They're clearly better than everyone else prospect-wise. Not saying they will be the best, but when you look at what they bring to the table, you have to pick Lafreniere number 1, in my opinion, and you have to pick Byfield number 2. Now, that's my quick look at the top 10 prospects. As I said, I'm no draft expert. This is just research from draft experts and people who study the film, along with my analysis of what I see in the highlights and everything else, because this is going to be interesting, because the more I think about it, the more I want to talk about young players who come up, because that's the future of the NHL and what it's going to be in 10 years. In 10 years, you won't be talking about Crosby. You'll be talking about people like Alexis Lafreniere and what they've done in their career, people like Quinton Byfield. So I hope you enjoyed my video talking about the top 10 prospects in the 2020 draft. Obviously, these are not my rankings of the top 10. These are just what this site has as the top 10, and I went over what I see in these players in the top 10. For example, if I go through the next 10 guys, I probably don't have Antoine Lundell in the top 10. Might not have an Alexander Holtz in the top. Might not have a Holtz in the top 10. Might not have a Holloway in the top 10 because I don't know enough about the players under yet because I haven't done my research. But thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Leave a comment, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace.